Criteria. 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 Let's break down the word criteria. So, criteria is actually a plural noun, which means you use it to talk about multiple things, not just one thing. Commonly, people use it in phrases like the criteria for getting into a university, or the criteria for winning a competition, where you're listing out specific requirements or standards that need to be met. A key point to remember is that when you use criteria, you're talking about the things that will be used to decide or evaluate something, not the decision itself. For example, if someone says the university has very strict criteria for admissions, they're referring to the specific requirements, like GPA and test scores, that the university uses to make its decisions, not the decision of who gets in or not. In formal meetings like job interviews, saying, "I believe my extensive experience in marketing and strong team management skills make me the ideal candidate for this position," based on the criteria of leadership ability and adaptability, helps to showcase confidence and preparedness. In casual conversations with friends discussing travel plans, you might say, "We're considering different hostels, but our top criteria is a place that's close to the city center and has a good breakfast selection." To demonstrate your priorities for a trip, for business or academic contexts, such as reviewing research proposals, stating, "Our review committee will evaluate submissions based on the criteria of scientific merit, feasibility, and relevance to industry needs," ensures clarity and fairness in the evaluation process. So you want to learn about criteria. Okay, imagine you're trying to decide which job to take, and there are two great options in front of you. To make your decision, you need some rules or standards that will help you compare the two jobs and choose the best one for yourself. These rules might be things like salary, location, job security, basically anything that matters to you when making a choice between the two options. That's what I mean by criteria. It's just a set of guidelines or standards that help us compare or evaluate different choices and make decisions based on them. Deduce. 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 So, let's talk about the word deduce. The part of speech is a verb, which means it expresses an action or a state of being. In common usage, to deduce something means to use logic and reasoning to arrive at a conclusion or to figure out what might be true based on available information. For example, if you're investigating a crime scene and you notice some clues that suggest the culprit was right-handed, you could deduce that the person who committed the crime is likely right-handed too. It's a bit like solving a puzzle. You take in all the relevant facts, and then you use your thinking skills to make an educated guess or prediction about what might happen next. One special note about its usage is that deduce often implies a sense of certainty or likelihood, whereas words like guess or speculate might suggest more uncertainty, so be careful with the nuance. Here are 3 examples of using the word deduce in different contexts. In a formal lecture, a professor might say, "By examining the data, we can deduce that the new policy has had a significant impact on reducing energy consumption," which demonstrates how to use the word in an academic setting where precision and clarity are essential. This example showcases the word's meaning of drawing a logical conclusion based on evidence. In a casual conversation with a friend who's trying to solve a mystery novel, you might say, "I've been reading this book for weeks and I'm starting to deduce that the main Character is actually the killer, which highlights how the word can be used in everyday talk to convey the idea of making an educated guess or inference. This example illustrates the word's meaning of arriving at a conclusion based on incomplete information. In a business meeting, a marketing manager might say, based on our market research, we deduce that there is a growing demand for sustainable products and we should shift our focus accordingly, which shows how to use the word in a professional setting where making informed decisions is crucial. This example emphasizes the word's meaning of drawing a logical conclusion based on data or evidence. So you want to know about deduce, right? Well, when we say that someone is able to deduce something, it means they're using logic and reasoning to figure out an answer or conclusion based on what they already know. It's like being a detective, where you look at the clues and put them together to get a picture of what happened. The main characteristic of deducing is that it involves making a logical connection between different pieces of information, often to reach a new understanding or solution. You might be familiar with other words like infer or conclude, which are similar concepts. They all involve using your brain to make sense of things and come up with an answer. In terms of how it's used, deducing is often involved in problem solving, critical thinking, and even everyday conversations, where we need to figure out what someone means or make a decision based on the information we have. Demonstrate. 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 So, you want to know more about the word demonstrate? Well, it's a verb, which means it's an action word that shows what someone is doing. In common usage, demonstrate can mean to show something clearly, such as a skill or a process, often with the goal of teaching or persuading others. For example, you might demonstrate how to cook a recipe or how to fix a bike. It's also used in more formal situations, like in science and research, where people might demonstrate a theory or an experiment. What's important to note is that demonstrate can sometimes be confused with the word show. But while show is more about presenting something visually, demonstrate implies a more active or interactive process, like actually doing something together. In a formal setting, such as a university lecture hall, a professor might say, the experiment will demonstrate the principles of quantum mechanics. And I encourage you to take notes as we observe the results. This sentence uses demonstrate to show the purpose of the experiment, implying that it will serve as an example or proof of the underlying scientific concept. In casual conversation with friends at a coffee shop, someone might say, that new app is going to demonstrate why I always pay for the full version. It's just not worth the ads. Here, demonstrate is used in a more conversational tone to imply that something will show or prove itself to be true, often in a humorous or ironic way. In a business or academic context, such as a conference presentation, someone might say, our market analysis demonstrates a clear trend towards increased demand for sustainable products, which we believe presents an opportunity for our company to expand its product line. In this example, demonstrate is used to show that the data and research presented will serve as proof or evidence of a specific point, often in order to persuade or convince others. So you want to know what demonstrate means? Well, when we talk about demonstrating something, we're talking about showing or proving that something exists or is true by doing it or making it happen in front of someone. It's like if I said I could ride a bike really fast and then I actually went ahead and did it right. That would be me demonstrating my ability to ride a bike quickly. The main characteristic of demonstrating is that you're actively showing something, not just saying it exists or happened. It's similar to concepts like showing off or proving oneself. But in this case, we're focusing on the idea of making something clear by actually doing it. When we demonstrate something, we're using our actions and behaviors to make a point or prove a claim. And that's what makes it such an important concept in communication.